G'day, gang. This is going to be a big topic, and it's gender related. So let's get into it. I want to talk about defeminization in entertainment, and I want to specifically talk about the fact that we consistently keep seeing female characters who are basically the cliche of man with boob. Very interested on opinions in this on this topic in general. I think it's this growing trend that we consistently keep seeing female traits removed from feminine characters, be that in a large spectrum of ways in which that it's done, but we keep seeing women, female aggression. You keep seeing like incredibly amounts of physical power in female characters. Sorry, trying not to lose my voice again. But we also see desexualization of women in the extreme sense too. Like there's a lot of remakes and remasters that completely change the feminine form and demonize just femininity in general, which is an interesting trend that's been happening recently. I think there are numerous reasons for that. I could make an entire video on that. This has been a lot of ums. Oh my gosh. I think you can make an entire video on why this is happening, but I think the largest reason is that women in positions of power, as I've said in a previous video, are becoming more predominant. Very interested in how people feel about, how we started with like real classics. One of my personal favorites, which I don't think many people look. I'm not as young as I look, okay? The classic Jill of the Jungle, one of my favorite DOS games, was this platformer of this woman in a bikini who was just running around the jungle just being a female Tarzan. Okay, it was awesome. It was an awesome game. I loved it. And it was one of the first experiences that I was like, lady looks hot, And as a woman, that was very exciting to me because I was like a little child. And I was like, one day maybe I'll have booba. So it was really exciting for me to see that. And I think that video games and movies have long since depicted women as overtly and overly feminine. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, just as I don't think it's a bad thing to say that the removal of feminine traits in certain context is appropriate. But I think that the key factor here is appropriate. And I think that most people will agree, women and men. I think this has nothing to do with the specifics of one gender. I think that most people will agree that fantasy has largely had a pretty broad gender gap. You do tend towards more masculine men and more feminine women in fantasy. That's just the history of humankind. Unsurprisingly, which is the audience that we're writing to. So it makes sense that you see that there are numerous differences within the animal kingdom, but within humanity, you definitely see that there are lines drawn and there are differences, and seeing that historically, it's even more predominant than current era, even though there are very, very strong lines still drawn about like the expectations of each gender and how we treat each other, and specifics is very different depending on who you are as a person. And there are a huge amount of factors. I'm not saying that gender is the only one, but there are enormous amount of factors about the way that we treat each other based on our characteristics. That could be another video right there. But I think the way that we see women being, femininity being demonized and like portrayed as a negative thing, has become more and more of an uncomfortable topic as a woman who very much enjoys, one of the most gender divisive genres in entertainment, again, which is fantasy. It's been very uncomfortable, especially as a fantasy author, especially as someone in entertainment. It's been complicated to consistently see that these really beautiful and natural traits that a lot of people are just born with having are being marked as being uncomfortable. And I've said it before, but I think it's like the criticism, for example, of one of I think the coolest aesthetics that I've seen in video gaming. One of my favorites is Eve from Stellar Blade. Like you see her demonized as her body type just because, she is incredibly feminine. I think that is just horrendous. Like what's wrong with my body that it's not allowed in a video game, that it's not allowed on a movie screen? Like, how does that make women feel? And I think that that's a really weird and nasty thing to make someone believe, to make someone think, and to make someone say about their own body. And that's just like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a masculine man on screen either. And I think that there is a lot of intent to want to move away from that. And I don't necessarily think that's a good idea. I don't think there should be like a section of characteristics that we shouldn't have. I don't think that we should have a bucket of unacceptable characteristics in certain media. I think that's weird. And I think that it doesn't help anyone with those characteristics. Because sure, there are a lot of women who aren't ultra feminine. There are a lot of men who aren't ultra masculine. But that doesn't mean that either is bad. And that doesn't mean that either is good. It is just how it is. But we shouldn't be demonizing these extreme traits. I don't think that's a negative thing. And I think that most people would really like to see like these very... I'm trying to think of a polite way to say it. Pardon me. I think that most people like to see a nice set of boobs. I think that we do. It's nice, that there's no way around it. I'm sorry, but curvaceous like figures of women and masculine muscled men. There's nothing wrong with seeing those things, but it seems like it's more and more becoming something that people actually insult, vastly more so the feminine figure. And but I do hear a lot about the ultra masculine being like discomforting for some people, but I think that is another topic, because I do think they are separate things. But ultimately, I think we shouldn't be like saying that there are certain things that are bad about the feminine body, and having, I've used it so many times now. I feel like a bit of a broken record, but like covering up women in video games is so weird. Like one of my favorite recent remasters, Oblivion, they made the cleavage of women smaller. They made boobs smaller and stuff like that. And it's just, it's weird. Why? Like, why can we not have big boob? If I could design my perfect body, I would have big boob. That'd be great. I'd love that. I mean, I'm not going to talk about my body. I nearly did. That's so weird. But anyway, like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to think that you are this like feminine form. I think that wanting to be feminine or masculine is completely fine. And I think that I'm not alone in thinking that it's exhausting to be told by my favorite franchises that I'm not supposed to be there, that I should have, that I shouldn't be feminine in these spaces. And particularly in spaces in which that I was previously allowed. It's like, as a woman who's a gamer or an enjoyer of certain movies, I feel like there's these doors that were always open to me that are suddenly closing in my face, and it is so discomforting. And I don't understand why it's suddenly femboys and tomboys, I mean, only allowed in. Like, femboys are another issue. I say issue, but topic. But like, why is it suddenly that, yeah, it's only tomboys allowed? It's so weird. I don't understand why I'm not allowed in the spaces that I was previously really enjoying. Very strange. And I think that there's multiple, like it's always been, there's multiple examples of this where it's always been that, you know, you upgrade your armor and as a woman you get less and less like pieces of armor on your body. And that's the charm of it. That's funny. That's great. And like, it's silly. But I think that a lot of women who play video games want to wear the chainmail bikini. Okay? Look, if you want to give me the option to look like a garbage can, that's fine. That's fine. But don't take away my option to wear the chainmail bikini, okay? It's make-believe, okay? I want to look stupid sometimes, and sometimes in both extremes, okay? Yes. Sometimes I want to wear the garbage can. Yeah. But yeah, how do y'all feel about this topic? How do you feel about the boobs being shrunk? Because it bothers me. Does it bother you? Do you not care? Very, very interested in what you think about this particular topic. Tell me what you think. If you like hearing me talk about boobs, click the thumb. And if you want more content, please sub. It means a lot. It means a lot to know that if people keep subscribing, then I'm going to keep making videos. But if people stop subscribing and liking and commenting, I'll go sit in the corner with a bucket on my head, I guess. Like, just tell me what you want, and I'll try to make that content as well. I'm very interested in knowing what people want from, what opinions people want from this particular weirdo. Thank you for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.